Joseph Humire is the executive director for the Center for a Free Society. I asked him about the significance of the FARC conference and why this year's event was made public.
And I think the importance of this conference right now, at least on behalf of the Colombian government, is to get some political support, get some public support for the vote coming up in October. I think they want to see a more unified FARC, a FARC that looks more cohesive and looks less aggressive, a FARC that's looking really to become more of a political movement than an armed faction as it was. And on behalf of the FARC, this is an important moment in the sense that this is the first time they're having an actual public conference. The last time they held this kind of conference was in 2007, and it wasn't public. It was private, it was shrouded in a lot of secrecy, and it had a lot to do with their military strategy. This is the first time they're going to talk about their political strategy, and they're going to talk about it in a public forum. So I think the big interest here is to garnish public support.
And piggybacking off of what you just said, FARC has always existed as an armed group. Now it's trying to make this transition into an unarmed political movement. How does it make that transition, or what are the challenges with that?
There's several challenges with that. It's not going to be as easy as it looks. There's strategic challenges or tactical challenges. On the strategic side, the fact that they sign a peace deal, the fact even if they win the vote on October 2nd, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the political legitimacy in the country to be governed, to be able to govern. To win the hearts and minds of the people of Colombia that really are going to believe that the FARC is no longer involved in illicit activities, but they're more involved now in trying to better the Colombian system and society. That legitimacy is going to be key. That's going to be a strategic challenge for them. On the tactical side, it's important to note that the FARC, while the conversation in Colombia is very internal with the FARC's presence here, the FARC is a transnational organization. They have presence in all kinds of countries throughout Latin America, as far as Europe, and obviously they have some presence in the United States as well. And that's going to be tricky for them because even if they have members of the FARC that are perhaps given some level of impunity here in Colombia, does that translate in other countries where they might have arrest warrants, or they might have sanctions, or they might have other kinds of impending indictments that could be coming forth? So you might have, for example, a FARC politician that can't leave the country because his passport won't allow him to travel. So that's a tactical challenge that they're going to have to face.
And there's the challenge of the resistance towards this peace deal. There's still a lot out there. The agreement, let's talk about some of the stipulations. It includes reduced sentences for those who confess early, amnesty for some minor crimes. Are these some of the reasons critics don't want this deal? What are some of the other reasons?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest conversations here in Colombia right now, and I think one of the ways the Colombian people are interpreting the peace deal is one of impunity. That, I'd say, has been the largest resistance to the peace deal, is because they don't just feel that this is a move to peace. This is a move to grant the FARC impunity. Even the conference itself, I just learned that I think there was about 24 members that were released from prison to attend the conference, and that obviously is not going to sit well with the Colombian public. The fact that you have a group that was armed that created all kinds of atrocities over the last several decades here in Colombia will get off with a slap on the wrist does not sit well with many people here in Colombia.